Clark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Charlie Adam and Tam McManus here with us. Delighted to have your company. You can like, share and follow on our Facebook. And of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Lots to talk about on tonight's programme. And of course, on Facebook, you can post your messages. Try and keep it respectable because some of the things we're going to be talking about, I think, are indicative of the way society is at the moment. It's certainly something that's dogging football. We'll be talking about racism. We'll also be discussing the Europa League matches, looking back at last night's Champions League matches as well. And we will have a statement from St Mirren. We always like a statement on the programme. Let me start by just saying thank you to the SPAA for awarding me Top Banana, Roughie. This is an award which you undoubtedly would have won from time to time because the travel agents have had a real tough year. And thanks to Joanne Langton and Janice for giving me this award. I presented their awards and it's been tough for them, Roughie. How the travel industry has survived, I'll never know. It's a bad year, but hopefully they'll have a good 2021.
Yeah, a tremendous bunch of people as well. It used to be the highlight of the year, the annual bash. Everybody came out in numbers, and you're right. You know, obviously, I know a couple of guys who were in the business, and it must be a horrendous year. I mean, everybody is having a hard time, but them in particular, you know, must be really, really hard. And they'll be hoping that things can change next year when everything sort of kicks in. But yeah, it's a bad dinner to miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly missed it. I know Roughie, the reason why he misses it is because it's the gathering of about 3,000 air stewardesses and Roughie and his mate. Now you know why he likes going to it, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, apart from anything else, nice to get the award. Lots to talk about. What I will say to you is, Charlie, as soon as we come on air, Tam, this is the way Charlie's head works. He looked and he thought, oof, look at him, he's got a Celtic top on there. But I have to say, I had to be safe about it all, Tam, because we've got Charlie's top ready for him, our new Maestro tops in the shop, and we've got Charlie's all ready for him. There's a black option and there's also a red option. Roughie, I'm not quite sure which one you're going to plump for him. I'm going to be really interested to see which one you're going to be wearing.
I'd probably go for the Partick Thistle red colour. You know, I'd probably go for that, yeah.
Okay, so and Charlie will take the red, white and blue, and Tam will take, well, Tam, I'll just take this off and post it to you if that's all right with you.
I'll take the green man.
I thought you might. Anyway, apart from anything else, that's the highs of what we're talking about. The lows. Roughie, I've never witnessed anything like it. Paris Saint-Germain against Istanbul. The match is suspended. The fourth official is under investigation. Now, obviously, we're aware that it's at the investigative stage. But at this moment, the accusation is of racism towards the Istanbul coach. He could face a 10-match ban, the Romanian fourth official, for what he said, which contravenes UEFA rules on the dignity of anyone involved in a UEFA match.
Yeah, I only saw clips of it, you know, obviously, and it must have been bad for the people on the touchline for them to take the actions that they did, particularly PSG, also walking off the park because they're big and show racing the red card. In the face of it, it didn't look bad enough for two teams to walk off and wait for an hour, but you know, I think we have to stamp this out, and if that brings it to the attention of everybody, and the boy is found guilty for, I don't even know what he said, but he must have said something, then we have to do something about it.
Charlie, the strange thing is, football, because it's a national sport, because it's a sport globally loved by so many millions, billions of people, sometimes it's used as a platform and abused as a platform. But this is a problem in society. But while there is outrage at UEFA, not all countries share the same belief and desire to wipe out racism. I think we've got to mention that as well.
Listen, it's in some countries, it's the norm. It's what they expect. It's what they used to. But we are, as a nation, are trying to stamp it out. It's not. It shouldn't be in the game. And when you've got an official supposedly saying what he said, it's very, very tough. And we have to keep clamping down on it. We had the incident at Millwall over the last weekend. And we got to keep hammering on, batting the doors down about it, saying this is not acceptable in the game. But it's not just a game of football; it's on the outside. It's in the schools, it's in the wider communities where the issue begins. And growing up in my teens, I never ever got mentioned once in school about racism. It's just you understand that this is the way you go, and this is you respect people and what they are. It doesn't matter what colour or race or whatever. It's just they are and that's the way it is. And it's listen, it's a shocking thing that a referee's got involved in this. But also, I see what John Barnes said. He's come out and made a comment as well, saying that he the referee obviously had made, the fourth official had pointed out that that person was there, and it's down to UEFA now to make a decision on where they go.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, with Show Racism, the red card, it's something which I hold dear to my heart. Tam McManus, racism, sectarianism, any form of abuse is something which we abhor, and there's a long way to go. In a strange sense, Tam, I look, and maybe I don't want to over-politicise it, but maybe some leaders who've actually gone about their business in such a way that it seems acceptable to certain members of society to be racist, I think is where we've witnessed more and more of this ugly situation arising.
Yeah, listen, there's no excuse for it, Peter, in any walk of life. Listen, I'm glad that all the players walked off last night, and I think that's a good signal, that it's not acceptable, whether it's from fourth officials or supporters or anyone. Racism is not acceptable, and to be fair to both teams, both of them walked off. And that sends out a strong message that it's not acceptable in the game or in society. So, listen, we want it clamped out. The more we go on about it, the better. The more we highlight it. And listen, we all want it out the game and out of society. So it's just, I was glad that they walked off the pitch last night. I think that was the right thing to do in terms of if you heard something that was racist, then I think that all clubs, all teams should walk off the pitch and not play.
Yeah, and with fans as well inside the stadium, they certainly would get the message. But with no fans inside the stadium, I can't believe this has allowed itself to rear its ugly head again. Full marks to you, Tam. You really are in the Christmas spirit. You go from the sublime to the ridiculous. One minute you look as if you're in a cell somewhere with just waiting for the food to go under your desk, and now suddenly you've got your arty print, you've got your Christmas tree, and you've got your wife's favourite curtains behind the Christmas tree.
Yeah, my missus told me this was the best seat, so I've been manoeuvred into her. She put the tree up the other night. It's a wee bit over the top for me, but she likes the colours, and the biggest tree I think I've ever seen. So I've just got on with it. It keeps her happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key point here for Christmas. Anyway, I'll read out as many messages as I possibly can. Afternoon to Alison, Tam, Paul, all joining us, Kenny Whitson, as ever. Lots of people who are regulars. John Lamont on the programme, Niall Kane, great to have Derek Edmund, all these people who regularly stick with us. So thank you very much. Don't forget to share the stream with your friends as well. Talking of behaviour which is questionable, Celtic are getting ready for a match and the banners continue outside the stadium. Roughie, some of the banners leave a lot to be desired. I still say that people have the right to be displeased with the manager staying. People have the right to voice their displeasure. But some of the banners, I think, from some people that clearly... They leave a lot to be desired, put it that way.
Yeah, and I think we've discussed this on numerous occasions throughout the season without talking, about the Neil Lennon situation. We've seen banners before in the stadium which aren't too pretty either, and you wonder sometimes where the people that put these banners up are coming from. Everybody's got a right to an opinion, but sometimes you go overboard, and supporters is a word that you use when you support your team through thick and thin, and this just seems right overboard. You know, when your club's actually going through a horrendous time, you would think you would unite rather than go the opposite way.
Yeah, and picking up on that point, Tam, the content of some of the banners, I have mentioned that, Neil Lennon with 2 wins and 12, it's not good enough. I have mentioned that the board have made mistakes, and I think some of their signing policy has been a mistake as well. But for some of the banners actually were critical of the board in such a way that they wanted rid of the board. This is going to cause a bit of controversy, Tam, but Celtic Board is one of the best run. This is one of the best run clubs in Britain. You can't get away from it. He's one of the best chief executives. They've made mistakes. They're open to criticism, but sacking them and getting rid of Dermot Desmond and Peter Lawwell, I think, is complete and utter lunacy.
Yeah. Peter, Celtic have been very well backed. The managers have been backed. It's not as if the board are sitting tight, Scrooge, not spending any money. The problem is they've spent money, they've spent it wrongly. They've bought in substandard players. They've not got value for money for a lot of the players they've signed. But for them to say that the board are tight and they're not got any ambition, I think it's nonsense. I think that the board have spent a lot of money. Even under bringing Brendan Rodgers in, they spent money. Their wage bill's astronomical. They're paying big wages. They splashed out £5 million on a goalkeeper, the same £5 million on a jetty. They've spent money. It's the recruitment that is a problem. So then you've got to look at who's recruiting the players. Is it Congerton, who I think has escaped a lot of criticism? Or is it Neil Lennon that's buying the players? So I think the board have backed, the recruitment and the manager with hard cash. And they've still got a far superior wage bill than Rangers. But they've just not spent it properly. Rangers' recruitment, bottom line, has been far better than Celtic's. And that's what the problem is. It's not that the board have not spent any money.
Also, I think the biggest problem, and I've mentioned it time and time again, Charlie, is the timing of when Celtic spend the money has caught them out. I think they've lost, I would estimate minimum 60 million in Champions League money from waiting and waiting to spend when everybody could see they needed to buy defenders prior to qualifiers.
Yeah, and that's the mistakes that they've made. Celtic have had it easy for 9 years. They've won the title for the last 9 years. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of a rocky road, and everybody's, sack the board, get rid of the owners, get rid of the manager. When you're in it, like Roughie said, when you're in a tough place, this is where you support your football club. You don't go and put banners, this Green Brigade, and doing what they're doing, and get rid of the owners. You're lucky to have these people involved in your football club. Dermot Desmond's put a lot of money into Celtic. Peter Lawwell runs Celtic well. They're having a tough time, and it's time that these lads just, they've said their piece and move on and let them try and find a way of getting results. At the moment, listen, Rangers are flying form. It's good to see. I thought they were, first 20 minutes, I thought, this could be a tough one on Sunday, but once Davis played that pass in behind the fullback, they got that first goal, it was game over. And listen, Rangers are just steamrolling everybody at the moment. And Celtic, like I said, Celtic are a good side. They will come back, but it could be too late. And that is the issue. And that's probably the worries for the supporters.
Yeah, here's what the manager, Neil Lennon, had to say about some of the banners.
Yeah, some sections of the support. Yeah, I mean, it is dangerous rhetoric. And again, I will say, we all want the same thing. Those fans want success. The majority of our fans want success, and the players and everyone here are wanting the same thing. So we don't want any divisions. I understand the frustrations. The players are feeling that as well. But, we don't like that sort of language or expression anywhere near the football stadium. It serves no purpose, really.
Yeah, Scott Carrick has said, stop blaming the Green Brigade. Well, listen, Scott, it could be the Green Brigade, it could be anyone else. I don't think some of the banners are from any group of sensible people. I don't think we're tagging it to one section of the support but certainly there's a group of people who leave a lot to be desired in the nature and the content of their banners. By all means, everybody has a right to say, we don't want the manager, we don't want a board. There's a way to put it across. What we can offer you is an opinion on the desire to get rid of a board which incidentally has delivered the last 9 titles, the last 11 trophies. I mean, if there's a blip, Tam, the blip is because they're not happy that 10 in a row is slipping away. In my mind, it's gone, but some people are looking at it slipping away and they're losing their head.
Yeah, I spoke about it the other day, Peter. I think that there was a certain amount of complacency set in amongst everyone at Celtic, and I include the board in that. I include the supporters. I think a lot of Celtic-minded people thought that 10 in a row was a formality. I think they'd popped the champagne too early. I thought that they were relying on Rangers to bottle it. They bottled the cup final, as some Celtic supporters said. They bottled it after Christmas last year. They'll bottle it this season. They've not got the minerals to go and win the league. Steven Gerrard's never won a league title. I think there was a lot of that going on amongst the Celtic support. And Rangers have, as Charlie said, they've been steamrolling everybody. They don't look as if they're going to bottle it, and it's Celtic are the one who's bottling it. So I think the league's gone as well. And Celtic fans need to get on with it. I think that obviously, as Charlie said there, listen, Neil Lennon is under serious pressure, but I think you've got to back him. You've got to back the team on the pitch until the board make a decision. I don't think the banners and the rhetoric and the language that people are using, shoot the board, was one that I've seen, which is a disgrace. Things like that are just not doing anyone any good. They're just tarnishing the good Celtic supporters, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, listen, quite a few were unhappy that I said Celtic fans have to suck it up. They are going to have to suck it up. Rangers are so far out in front at the moment, and quite simply, the Celtic board have made a decision. And the decision is they're sticking with the manager, and Neil Lennon thinks that's calmed the situation down.
Yeah, I think it sort of settles everyone down, settles the players down for sure. They're really happy about that, thankfully, from my point of view, and obviously the staff as well. So it's full steam ahead, and just try and get some consistency and wins now, going forward. We will, look to use the squad in some aspects tomorrow, freshen things up a little bit and keep players fresh for the weekend as well.
Yeah, with that in mind, I'm looking at the players, Soro, Turnbull, Klimala. They'll all get a chance to get a run out, Roughie. He's got a few injury worries. Beaton, Elhamed and Cham not available. There's no point in, it's a game where players will get a run out, Roughie. It's meaningless. They'll try and stop the rot is the only thing that really is at stake here, Roughie.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about is meaningless in the point situation, but we already discussed there is money involved. I think if you win the game, you get a large amount of money. That's something, but where Celtic are just now and where the manager is and where the players are, it's all about performances. It's all about taking something out of the game that you can move on to the next game and then move on to the next one. You don't want to keep getting into a press conference and trying to defend a 3 or 4-0 defeat. So they've got to put up some kind of performance. The players that are given a chance have got to put up some kind of performance. I'd like to see the boy Turnbull playing. I'd like to see him getting a wee run out. He's a £3 million player. Let's give the lad a chance to prove himself, and he'll want to prove it as well. He want to justify the money that's been spent off him. So I think he should be an addition if he's fit. That is.
Yeah, money's at stake. Here's a look at the table, and it's not good viewing for Celtic fans as far as the Champions League. Lille, AC Milan, all in the mix. Sparta Prague and Celtic with 1 point and -10 in the goal difference, and they are across Europe. Certainly, I think the lowest. The team who have conceded the most amount of goals in the campaigns, Europa League and, of course, Champions League. So not great for them. Can they stop the rot? Can they get a win to boost their confidence ahead of the weekend's Premiership? Only time will tell. You can give us your view on that. Charlie, I know you mentioned something there, and it just stuck in my head when you were salivating there about Stephen Davis's pass up at Dingwall against Ross County. We mentioned it yesterday. I mean, it was an absolute stroke of genius from Steve Davis. Brilliant pass. And then there's another player who was associated with Rangers. I watched him last night. Billy Gilmour was an absolute joy, Charlie. His awareness as a young midfielder is incredible. It's almost as if he's got eyes in the back of his head.
Yeah, I seen Tam's tweet. I never seen the Chelsea game, and I seen the little highlights. I took the reserve team last night against Forfar, and so I never seen the Chelsea game. But I watched Tam's highlights on Twitter, and for me, he's a banker. He'll be in that Scotland squad for the Euros if he stays fit. You know, the kid is this different class. You know, he sees the game, he reads the game. You know, small player. You know, but some of the best players over the last 10, 15 years have been small. But the way his game awareness and how he moves the ball quicker and he sees things, it's just phenomenal. And no, it was just a joy to watching that little bit of the clips that I seen.
Yeah, and Roughie, there's a wee suggestion that Rangers might have a sniff at getting him on loan. If they got him back on loan, that would be the coup of the century for me.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd have picked up on what I said last night. You know, they've acted very quickly. You know, obviously, I didn't think they'd pay attention to what I'd said. But no, I think when you go down that road, I think Chelsea are going to say, look, there's no way we're going to give you him if you're not going to play him. We want him to go somewhere where he's going to get better and better. So I think for me, that's the big one. There's no point in him coming up to Rangers and sitting on the bench. So, and I'm sure the boy at this stage of his career will want to go to a club that is going to be playing him all the time to progress him. But it's only good for us. I would throw out the questions to all the guys. If he's that good, and he is that good, you know, who's he replacing in the first team? Who's he replacing in Scotland? No, at Scotland. In the midfield, who's he taking over from?
Okay, it's a great question.
Ryan Jack.
Jack's certain starting for me. He does the right job.
Yeah, it's
my three would be Gilmour, McGinn, and McGregor.
Well, I have to say to you, it's a hard one, but I would probably. It's a tough one to call, Roughie, because I think if anything, he's not going to replace McGinn. He could probably have a battle and a ding-dong battle to start with McGregor. Jack, who knows? I mean, we've got to wait and see if he gets regular games, first of all, because if he plays anything like he's been playing in the last games that he started for Chelsea, you know, lots of people are going to be under pressure in that midfield to get a starting place, but the potential's there, Tam. It's magic to watch him.
No, he's some player. I said it in the show before, I think he's got the potential to be one of the best players that we've ever produced. I think he's that good. Supposedly his attitude is absolute top notch as well. He's down playing at Chelsea and amongst world class players. You know, he's holding his own in that squad. You know, guys like Kante and Jorginho. You know, he's in the mix with the guys. So, listen, I think he's top class. I think if he keeps his form up, he's in and about the Chelsea team from now to the next summer. Then I think he's got every chance of forcing his way not only into the squad, but possibly into the team. And as you said, I think McGinn's a certainty. I think he's a certain starter. But I think Ryan Jack and McGregor are the two that you would look at and go, well, maybe he could be pushing one of them for another starting place.
Yeah, okay. Lots of people have their opinion on it on Facebook, as ever. Some people are giving us the three that they think, and then some people are just wading in with a baseball bat and savaging everybody else that they don't like. So you can guess which way that's going, Charlie.
So are you thinking that he will go out on loan? I don't think that the West Chelsea will allow him to go to Rangers. I think go on then.
My personal opinion on it, Charlie, is that I look at the Chelsea side. I look at the way he played last night, and I'm thinking to myself, Frank Lampard hinted that because players can get injured, he might hold on to him. But if he wants him to go on loan, he certainly wants him to go and play regularly at a level that he's going to progress again.
For me, I think that there'll be other players that Chelsea will try and get rid of before him in the window.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, Jorginho or somebody like that. They'll try and move before they get Gilmour. And if they don't, they might allow him to go. But I think he'll end up in the Premier League, playing in the Premier League. I don't think they'll allow him to come to Scotland and play.
Yeah, I think you've got a good point there, Charlie. I wouldn't argue with you too much on that. Listen, Rangers, good players at the moment who are on fire, and they are taking on Lech Poznan. Their press conference should come in shortly. I'm not sure we'll get a chance to hear from Steven Gerrard ahead of tomorrow's game on this show, but we definitely will have him on tomorrow's. The press conference still to come, to be perfectly honest with you. But nevertheless, big chance for Rangers. Put another marker down, Tam, finish top of the group.
Yeah, great opportunity for Rangers. I think obviously Steven Gerrard will rest players, he'll bring some guys in who's not been playing, and we'll look to keep the momentum going, look keeping clean sheets, scoring goals, and just keep the wheel rolling. And I think they'll do that. I think they'll win the game. And listen, I just think it's all about momentum for Rangers at the minute. Just keep playing well, keep getting guys minutes, keep everybody ticking over and fresh in the squad, and keep the confidence high by winning games. And I think they'll go out and they'll win the game, no problem.
Isn't it amazing, Charlie? It's a 25-game unbeaten streak at the moment with 21 wins.
It's phenomenal. It's just like the switch of a button, They've gone from last season, playing well, but they've taken the game in Europe and at home to a different level this season. There's no doubt that, the Rangers are thinking, right, going into games, there must be, the players are that confident, how many can we get today? I remember speaking to Barry Ferguson back in the day when they had these tours and, the top class teams that they had. And it was like they used to go into games thinking, right, how many can we get? Is it going to be 3, 4, 5? And I think the Rangers lads will be thinking the same at the moment. I think they'll be feeling unstoppable, no arrogant. I think they've got a calmness about them. They've got they are ruthless in what they want to do. But I do think they'll have a bit of a swagger saying, okay, who fancies it? We've got 3 or 4 today. We can, that can go. And I don't think Rangers will make many changes for tomorrow. I think they'll look maybe 2 or 3 maximum, and they'll try and get to the top of this group because of the draw in the next round.
Look at that group, Roughie. It's great viewing for Rangers fans. All they need to do at this moment is match Benfica's result, and they will top the group, which is fantastic news. And over and above that, I fancy them to go and win by 2-1.
Yeah, well, it's obviously good news as well that the Poznan manager saying he's no bothering about the game. He's more interested in the league game at the weekend. It's more important for him, so that's a good start if he's going to start throwing in 7 or 8 fringe players. But I think it's important Rangers win the game because, as Charlie said there, once it's done and dusted and the draw comes for the 32, whoever they get is going to look at that section. When they get them, they're going to go, let's have a look at Rangers group, and they're going to look at a positive scoreline all through the games and the points total as well. And that can put a wee bit of a frightener up you, because they've never seen all the games. They don't know how they've went or anything. But what's there in front of them is a team that's won the group quite easily and the goal scoring as well.
Yeah, so is it 6-0 for you then, Roughie? Are you going for 6?
I think Rangers will win 3-0. I'm only going by what their manager's saying. He might not play, his reserve team to concentrate in the weekend. But I'll have to wait and see the team because I'm quite sharp with the Poznan team, so I'll know who's playing and who's not. The good players.
He's on that Polish TV again.
Yeah, absolutely, he is, absolutely. Fantastic, Roughie. Here are the Europa League fixtures that involve the British sides. If you're going to watch them tomorrow, Dundalk Arsenal, Lech Poznan Rangers, Leicester against AEK Athens, Celtic against Lille, and Tottenham against Antwerp. That's what's on offer. Incidentally, just before we talk about Scotland, Aberdeen, who are unhappy, I have to say, and still at this moment, no way of getting fans into their ground. We'll talk about that a little later on. You can give us your thoughts. St Mirren and Kilmarnock have appealed. And of course, we're going to talk about Inverness, who wanted to stage the Scottish Cup final. I know. We'll talk about that, and we'll get the inside track from Roughie's WhatsApp group to see what's the thinking behind Inverness asking for the Cup final. Well, I was just about to say, Tam, there's bound to be some insider information from the two of them. The Gardmeister.
Should I get a little recce? We're playing them on Saturday, so I'll get a little recce and see what the pitch is like and if the stadium that is up to holding the Scottish Cup final this season.
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. You'll be see if you can pull off a Steve Davis pass when you're up there. By the way, I think he managed to take about 4 players out with one pass. Charlie, that's all I'm
What
saying.
what about the one he done behind the old Rabona as well?
Oh, honestly, I'm going to have a word with him. By the way, I mean he's absolutely showboating. He's trying to get onto Soccer AM on Sky Sports, Tam, with all these little flicks that he's doing. He's nearly at Roughie's age. He needs to be careful.
And pull a hamstring. Do a hip replacement. No, but that just shows you, Peter, the confidence that the guys are playing with Rangers. And Steve Davis is just playing with oozing confidence. Feels as if everything he can do, every pass is going to come off. And it's the same everybody. It's a great thing, confidence in football. It can take you to a new level, and Rangers have got a ton of it at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, long may it continue. He's a thoroughly decent lad, Steve Davis. So if he can play a good few years, it would be great to see him strutting his stuff at the moment. Anyway, apart from that, we'd like to see good football being played. Last night, what game did you choose, Roughie?
I never choose any of the games at all, Peter. I had other things on my case that unfortunately were a wee bit more important.
Wow, but like what when we're on a football show?
Yeah, I actually had to help my daughter out. She's just bought a horse, and I had to move it for her, and stable it and get all the stuff that a father has to do when your child demands your 100% attention.
Okay,
well, you done there lately then.
Well, I'd like to apologise to all the working class people who thought they could relate to Roughie. I know that Christmas is coming up, but when we asked our mum and dad for a horse, there was no danger you were getting even a sniff of one. But Roughie, so enough of Red Rum. Let's crack on. What did you watch, Tam?
I watched the Chelsea game. I was watching it. I was flicking back and forward. I watched a wee bit of the BT Goals show. But I was watching Chelsea just to see Billy Gilmour, and I thought he was outstanding. You know, he controlled the game for Chelsea, and he's just a supremely talented player. Played the full game, and no, I thought he was excellent. I don't think there's any chance of him going on loan, to be honest. I think he's a real big part of Frank Lampard's squad down there. I think he'll be looking to force his way into the team.
Yeah, I sneaked a wee look at the Chelsea game regularly, and I thought he was great. But I started off and watched the majority of Barcelona against Juventus. I never thought I'd say this, Charlie, but Barcelona are now playing like Celtic. You know, lots of possession, going nowhere, and end up losing the game. It was a similar thing last night. I think Messi will be out of there quickly because that team is on the wane.
Yeah, we've been saying it now for about a year or so, and obviously in the summer it was big news that he wanted to leave. So, you know, if you're not producing the results, I think Messi will be looking to get out and move to pastures new, and Man City looks like it could be the option still for him. So it's sad, but you know, these great teams fall apart at some point, and it looks like that Barcelona team is just starting to come to its end, and unfortunately for Messi, you know, he's part of that group.
Yeah, some of the times when he played the passes last night, Roughie, and they just were not on the same planet as him. Yeah, he was probably playing a pass longing for Xavi and Iniesta, and it's long gone.
I was just going to say that there, Barcelona fell apart when these two retired. For me, we all talk about Messi and everything he brings to the game, but these two were the eye catchers for me. They just pulled the strings in every game, and Messi got the benefit of it. He doesn't have that luxury now. He doesn't have that quality of player behind him, and I think that's why he's struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the battle was all about Messi against Ronaldo. Tam, have a look at the stats and just see two guys living on another planet from everyone else, from back in 2005, 2006. Champions Leagues aplenty. Ronaldo ahead with 5 against the 4 of Messi. But the figures, Tam, for goals scored, I mean, 2011, 2012, Messi scored 73, Ronaldo has scored 60. I mean, that's outrageous. It's just mental.
So, yeah, some guys don't score 73 in their career. I think I'm just above 73, to be honest. and they've scored that in one season. It's like a striker used to be based on, you know, a good striker used to always go, right, try and get 1 and 2. So if you played 40 games, maybe 20 goals is a great return. But they've just blew those stats out the water. 1 and 2 is just rubbish now. People are looking at going, well, Messi and Ronaldo scoring 60 and 70 a season. So it's got to be 1 and 1 now. You've got to be scoring 40 and 50 goals a season with these guys to be world class. So no, they've raised the bar so much on the park over the last 10, 15 years. The two of them have been different class.
Oh, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, another thing, as Tam mentioned there about the goals, Charlie, these are goals against top drawer players.
Oh, they're doing it year in, year out in the Champions League. They're doing it year in, year out in their own domestic leagues. It's phenomenal. So, between them, I think they've got 11 Ballon d'Ors. The Champions League, they've got loads. We're just fortunate enough that we've seen two of the greatest players going head to head. And they just don't seem like, Ronaldo anyway this season doesn't look like he's stopping. He's just phenomenal. He's scoring goals every week as well. And it's a great joy to watch them. But, when they go, that's probably when we'll realise how good they were, because I don't think there's any players coming behind as good as they two.
I have to say to you, Tam, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but if Ronaldo came out with a smoothie, which was, something that gave you the insight into how he is playing so well at his age. I mean, he just looks fantastic.
They'd give you a six-pack, I know.
Listen, Tam,
what about the wee things, Peter? What about the wee things we advertise? You see the things for your abs?
Yeah, absolutely.
You get a six-pack.
Honestly, I'm getting a shock every time I plug it in. It's unbelievable. I mean, just
the one for me.
It's definitely not working for me. I mean, honestly, he must make an absolute fortune. Have abs like Ronaldo. People literally going like that, trying to, forgetting that you have to actually go out and run and stop eating cake. Anyway, apart from that, he was a joy to watch last night. I'd buy whatever he was drinking because he looks absolutely sensational. Listen, a couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, guys, certainly in a sense of the closer to home, which is quite simply St Johnstone, Charlie, and Kilmarnock, St Mirren and Kilmarnock are going to appeal against the decision to, they're going to have to forfeit games for breaching COVID rules. I mean, I don't know. There's bound to be some loophole legally that they've found that they think they can challenge it, especially when they've admitted to the breach in the first place. I wonder what line they're actually scrutinising to think they can get away with this.
I don't get it how they could plead guilty and do what they've done and what they actually done in these COVID, protocols to then realise, oh, by the way, let's challenge it. If I was them, I'd just be, okay, we've got 6 points against us. We take it on the chin and we move on and we learn from this with the protocols going forward. But they've obviously seen something. But these two clubs and what they've come out and said and what they've done with the COVID it's a disgrace. And the fine and what they got was right and thoroughly deserved. But they must be thinking they could win the case.
It's an interesting one. I'll wait to see how that all develops. It looks a forlorn hope. I certainly know that a number of managers have voiced their displeasure at this 3-0 win to the club that they were supposed to play against, Roughie. I think that's sticking in a lot of managers' throats.
Yeah, but if you look at it seriously, Peter, what other way would you do it? You couldn't, punish the teams that they were playing. Because obviously, that would be wrong as well. So, I mean, the SPFL threw it out there to everybody to vote on it. And again, typical, they all couldn't have voted them for themselves, So, I'm afraid, I'm just glad the SPL have actually done something. They've shown a bit of authority rather than just sitting back and doing nothing. So, everybody knows the case now. Everybody knows it's 3-0. So, as Charlie said, you've got to get your house in order, or you know what this is going to happen to you.
Yeah, we're still managing. It's the game that keeps on giving in Scotland. We're still managing to argue and be upset about so many things. The next point I think I'm going to make, Tam, is about Dave Cormack, who I think has every reason to be upset with the government on this. They are absolutely, Aberdeen are battling like hell to try and get fans into the ground. Here's a statement from Dave Cormack. It's very clear Scottish football has been treated unfairly with a rejection correspondence once again, avoiding answering why indoor events in level 2 are favoured over the highly regulated protocols we have at our stadium. Fans would be far safer in outdoor stadiums, yet we are still waiting for the Scottish Government to provide clinical evidence to support their decision. Despite the devastating financial impact, Scottish clubs have invested considerable resources. At Aberdeen, we've spent £30,000 on putting these in place. Jason Leach told the SPFL that outdoor activities were safer than indoor activities, yet our successful safe test events with 300 fans now seem pointless if there is no progression plan in place, even in level 1. Yes, it costs to put on these games with limited crowds, but it's well worth it for our fans. We've got our fans' backs on this, and we're not going to be fobbed off easily. I feel for Dave Cormack. I think the government are digging in because if they allow certain elements of sport in a particular tier to have fans in, then suddenly everybody else wants to break down the door.
Yep, definitely, Peter. I think it's a great statement from Dave Cormack. I don't understand why Aberdeen and clubs can't have 2,000 fans and social distancing in massive stadiums. You know, seen it now in England. You know, it looks great. Even the 2,000 fans in there is a great atmosphere. Clubs have spent a lot of money. You know, I know myself going into Easter Road. You know, your temperature's checked, everything's thorough. You know, and you're sitting well away from everybody else, even the media. So, listen, I think it's a joke now. I think there should be fans now back into stadiums. And Dave Cormack's spot on with that statement. You know, I think outdoor in particular. You know, the science has shown that outdoor, you know, in areas, it's a lot safer than indoors. So I don't see the problem now for getting supporters in. And Dave Cormack's been great, Peter, because he seems to be the one, you know, vocal voice in all this. Every single week, he's championing for his own supporters to get back in. And I think he's got to take great credit for that.
Yeah, and the only bit of balance that I can offer on this, Roughie, is quite simply the government must be taking that stance based on the particular tier that you're in. And they are obviously looking at it and saying, listen, there are no exceptions here. If you're in a tier, you're not getting fans in, despite all the medical evidence, all the protocols, all the safety measures that are in place. They're obviously looking at it and saying, we're not letting one in with this situation, because another 10 or 15 are going to give us a headache after it.
Yeah, I think Dave Cormack's problem is up in Aberdeen. There are cinemas open, and there's people going to the cinema, which is indoors, you know, and it just doesn't seem right on the outside looking in that you're outside watching a football game, and there are other avenues where there's things like that happening, you know. So I think if you're part of a football club and you've done everything right, you've done all the protocol, you're paying all the money, you know, that you should be allowed some in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point, actually, because I think a lot of the English clubs early on, Charlie, were saying, wait a minute, we've had variety shows inside theatres in London, and they still wouldn't allow fans outside to watch football games until eventually it got to the point where, you know, 2,000 fans can go and watch an English Premier League game.
Yeah, listen, I think the good thing about Aberdeen, they've been on the forefront of this. You know, Dave McCormack's obviously been quite vocal on the whole situation. So I think that he's in the right mind to do what he wants to do and say. We've obviously upset somebody in the government as a footballing, you know, group. We're not, you know, we don't seem to be buttering them up enough, or we're not giving them enough plaudits or something, because it's a shambles. Football fans should be in stadiums by now, and where we are at. And as long as Aberdeen and other clubs keep battering the door down, we're hoping it can change in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Here's a strange one, Roughie, and maybe you'll be able to tell us about it, because obviously you've got one of the most extensive WhatsApp groups in Scottish football. When there's any inside track on voting, non-voting, non-placement of votes, collaboration, then you always give us the inside track on it. Inverness made a request to see if they could host the Scottish Cup final, because obviously in their tier they can accommodate 300 fans. I don't think it's actually going to happen. The SFA, I think, have knocked that back because of the contractual obligation to Hampden. But I have to say, I wonder, what's the motivation that you actually think, sounds like a good idea, I think I'll put in the application?
Yeah, well, we obviously backed Inverness because we were going to get a televised feed right into Firhill, to share that with them. But obviously it's not going to happen. No, I don't know. I think he's just trying to be nice. I just think he's saying, look here. I mean, can you imagine the clamour? Can you imagine the clamour in Inverness for Celtic supporters to get tickets for that? I mean, how could you vouch for?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's golden ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy.
And of course, if we were still in any tier that wouldn't allow you to move, you can bet your bottom dollar there'd be more than a few heading up there to Inverness to their aunties and their grandma to try and work out a way to stay or even get them to buy them a ticket. No, it's not going to happen. The Scottish Cup final with no fans, Tam, will be on December 20th.
Yeah, it'll be at Hampden. And listen, if I'm a Celtic supporter, I'd be a little bit worried. I mentioned it last week. The run that Celtic are on at the minute, you wouldn't fancy them to beat anyone. And, I think that a change of a manager, a fresh approach, a fresh voice, might have gave Celtic that little bit of impetus to go and kick on again. I don't think they're going to get that. I think that Neil's going to get until at least the cup final and maybe even to the Old Firm game at the start of January. So the quadruple trebles at stake. So let's just see what happens. Quadruple.
Yeah, what is the quadruple a Roughieism for? You see, you're hanging about with them too much, by the way, Tam. You're just making up words now. Anyway, just before we go, Scotland, we now know the fixtures that they are actually going to get involved in. So it's the 25th of March. That could be, great just to get involved in that one. Scotland, Austria, of course, Scotland, Israel, over there in Israel. This is 2021, and then Scotland, Faroe Islands, and then Denmark against Scotland. All the dates now confirmed. What's your view, Roughie, on the games, the staging of them, the home games? You wanted two at home first of all, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we've got to have a good start with these three first games. I think it's got to be, I would say, a minimum 7 out of 9 points. Again, the draws that we've been getting have been positive. They're out the window now. No more draws. I think we've got to start winning games, show people we can win games. And obviously, looking at all the games I think we're talking about 20 points plus, to get into the first two at least anyway. And I think that's capable if you look at all the ties. But every game that we draw is going to be another nail, because look at that last game. And we know what usually happens with us if it goes down to that last one against Denmark. So let's hope it's done and dusted before that.
Yeah, absolutely. I share your view on that. Charlie, is it a good fixture list there for you?
Is there any danger of not playing Israel again?
Yeah.
It seems every but no, listen. I like
Marciano again.
I think yeah. I just think, like you say, the start is important, because if we start well, then we can build into the summer for the games in the summer. And it's a good group. I think we can get out it. Obviously, I think Denmark will be favourites, but it's not. I think we've got to be happy with the ties, and the start is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Charlie, I look at the ongoing situation with Manchester United. They lost. They're out of the Champions League. And again, there is still, Neil Lennon thinks he's under pressure, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer under pressure as well. And quite a few people unhappy with one of the star players, Paul Pogba. What would you do with Paul Pogba in January?
Get him out straight away. Listen, he's cost an absolute fortune. I think he's been a major disappointment. Yeah, he's shown glimpses, and people saying, "Oh, the players are not good enough to play around him," and all that. When your agent's bumping his gums and saying this every window or just before a big game, call him up, tell him to shut up and do his job, and that's to look after you off the pitch, not on the pitch, off the pitch. And I think Pogba's been a major disappointment for Man United.
Yeah,
I think that he got a lot of plaudits at Juventus because he was playing with one of the greatest players in Pirlo. I think that helped him. But I think he's been poor since he's been at Man United.
Yeah, and even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a wee message for his agent.
Squad is fine. They're a team, and they stick together. As soon as Paul's agent realizes this is a team sport and we work together, the better. And that's probably maybe the last thing I'll say about that. I don't want to spend energy on that.
Yeah, it's a team game, but it all seems to be about getting him a move and getting the agent more money in the coffers. The other thing as well, which is coming up, is the Champions League. I just wonder who's going to vote tonight, guys, when you have a look at the fixtures on offer. Bayern Munich, Lokomotiv, Salzburg, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, Shakhtar Donetsk, Real Madrid, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Man City against Marseille, Olympiacos against Porto, Ajax against Atalanta, and Michelin against Liverpool. What are you going to watch, Tam McManus?
I'll probably watch Real Madrid, Mönchengladbach. I think there's a bit on that game. I think Madrid have to win to stay in the Champions League. I think Mönchengladbach need a point. So I think that's probably one of the games that'll tune into. You know, it'd be incredible if you see Manchester United and Real Madrid in the Europa League. It's a long time since that's happened to both of those clubs in there. So big game for Real Madrid. Have to win.
Yeah,
I don't think
I was looking there. Stuart Carruthers has just said he's going to be watching Atletico in their match against Salzburg. That's an unusual one, Stuart. I'm not too sure I'd be watching that one, Roughie. What are you going to cast your eyes on? Or are you on some stupid bake-off programme again?
He's doing a bit of riding.
He's doing horse. Can I just quantify that? Yes, exactly. I was just about to say to you, can I just mention that Roughie mentioned horses at the start of the programme, which is why Tam mentioned riding. Roughie.
Man City for me. I like Man City when they throw in these young players that they've got. I think they're quite exciting to watch. So, yeah, Man City at home for me.
Yeah, well, he's getting a bit of flack, Pep, about who he's going to select for the game. He definitely wants to win it.
I don't rest players. I don't say these players don't play now because I've been thinking about the other ones. So we play against Oporto like we played to qualify first in the Champions League, and I put in our players, and they were awesome. We concede one clear chances and no more against Oporto. It's incredible success. So I said many times, the team are going to play tomorrow, they can play against United. And the guys that don't play tomorrow, maybe don't play against United, or maybe play. I don't know. But tomorrow, my focus is, I want to win this game tomorrow.
I don't know why people bleat on about it, Charlie. The second 11 for Manchester City cost a fortune as well.
Yeah, no. Listen, they're lucky that they can recall or rely on players that are, top class players for the groups in the Champions League games. But no, I'm going to watch Liverpool. I just like watching how Liverpool are playing at the moment, and it's hopefully they can win that and move on to the next game.
I'm with you, Charlie. I'm going to watch Michelin against Liverpool. You on that, Tam, as well?
No, I'm going to watch it. I think that'll be a good game, but I'm going to watch the Madrid game. You think Liverpool will play a weakened team tonight, Charlie?
Yeah, they'll rest players. It's
reserves
gone, and So, but it's let's say when you've been there, and let's say Peter as a supporter, it's nice to watch the games because Man City and Liverpool are the two best teams in England.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Really looking forward to that. Obviously, Hugh Scott says, steady, Tam. And Scott Carrick's got no time for you, Tam. He said, Tam McManus should be banned. Honestly. This is the way of the world now. The snowflake generation want you banned, Tam. Just because you mentioned something to do with the Horse of the Year show, they want you out. So, by the way, I have to say I've just had a word, and the board are sticking by you, Tam. The PLZ Soccer board are sticking by. I've just had a WhatsApp message here from Scott Gardner and Roughie. You're staying with us, Tam. It's as simple as that. So, Scott Carrick, I'm not going to follow through on this one. Tam's all right by us. And Gary McGurn says, Peter, can you ask Roughie what's the horse's name?
Oh, good one. Actually, I'd throw that out there. Would anybody like it? It's not got a name yet. So if there's anybody out there who would like to throw their tuppence within what they would like to call it, it's the Dark Bay. It's 15-2. So fire away. I'm open to suggestions. Maybe Ronaldo or Messi. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronaldo. Okay.
Is that Ronaldo's brother?
That's exactly. That's what I was thinking, Tom. You're having a mare.
It's a she.
Italian cousin.
All right, okay.
It's a mare.
Right, okay. Thanks for that. Don't forget, you can join Roughie on his Horse of the Year show later on tonight on YouTube. All I'm going to say to you is we're all potentially, guys, will we be allowed in the next couple of weeks to get a wee afternoon lunch together? Charlie has suggested it, and because our new... All I'm saying to you, Charlie's bolted. One mention of lunch and he's away. Charlie's bolted. That's great, isn't it? So there you are, Tam. The black one, I don't think you'll be wearing the red, white and blue one, Tam. Our new Maestro gear is out there. It's going to be available on the website before Christmas. And they look good, Tam. It's a homage to Bill Shankly. It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do. I like that.
Charlie,
get a hashtag on that, Charlie.
Charlie, that is fantastic, and so many people now reacting to that, saying, "I can't believe Charlie can write that fast." So there you are. That's magnificent for the brilliant Chaz. Absolutely top drawer. Anyway, apart from anything else,
can I mention something?
Yeah,
I'm 35 tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to seeing one of the blue things in the post.
Chaz, the homage to Bill Shankly, as you know, this is our retro Maestro shirts. And can I just say to you, they're like training tops. You can wear them out casually or if you want to train. But I'm going to say something to you, Charlie, because it's got the Maestro badge on it, I think you are well worthy of the blue one. So that is on the way for your 35th birthday. Do you feel 35 or do you think maybe there's a couple of years in you yet kicking that ball?
Nah, there's still a few years left. I've got a manager that's looking after me. He's good, and I feel good. Good win at the weekend, and we go to Inverness looking to get back-to-back results.
Brilliant. Top drawer, Roughie, as ever, because of the contractual obligations, yours is almost certainly in the post to you as well, big man. And we've got to give one to Tam because this green one will actually match his Christmas tree. And I think we leave you with, if you're looking for the idea...
It's usually fans that are shouting at me.
Yes. We leave you with not only a fantastic banner, it's just a statement. There's nothing abusive about it. It's just a statement. If anybody who actually makes banners up want to actually take a leaf out of Charlie Adams' book, then you can use that banner. Thanks to Charlie, thanks to Tam, thanks to Roughie, from myself, Peter Martin. Don't forget, Christmas is coming. There might be something here for you.
It's the perfect Christmas gift for your dad, mum, your brother, your sister, your best friend. The Legends limited edition series by sports artist Jim Scullion is available to order now. From t-shirt to canvas to prints, select your favourite legend of football. From Larson to Laudrup, Pele to Maradona, Messi or Ronaldo. Order your perfect stocking filler now by clicking on the link to own your very own limited edition legend.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold.